Hi, my name is Tylluan Penry. I'm a solitary pagan witch. I'm an author and the founder of the Wolf and Howl Press. And do you know, I think that's the very first time I've greeted you with hi instead of hello. And I've no idea why I did it. Doesn't matter. Right, well, today's little chat again suggested by a listener, and I do value these suggestions. When I can, I will take them on board. The listener suggested doing something on rune casting. Now, I'll do a start. I'll do a beginning introduction to it, because everybody does them differently. Most people use what's called the Elder Futhark, because they believe it is the oldest, the most authentic. Some people have done odd things with it, and they've put things like the extra blank rune, which they call weird, fate in the Anglo-Saxon words. But of course the Elder Futhark is not an Anglo-Saxon rune set. So basically there are several rune sets. There are the Elder Futhark runes, the younger Futhark runes, which are, I think there's only 16 of them, whereas there's 24 with the Elder Futhark, and then the Anglo-Saxon runes, which is the biggest rune set of the lot. Not massive, but it is bigger than the others. The problem is, when you come to things like the Elder Futhark and people say, we've got to use this, what they do with the rune poem, there is no rune poem attached to it. Now there is for the younger one, and there is certainly for the Anglo-Saxon one. But they do a kind of mishmash, and they try to, there are different rune poems from all over the place, and they try to blend them all together. Now I'm not very fond of doing that. There are risks with it, because if you have a tradition, it grows on its own. It grows exponentially, if you like, sometimes very steep, which is exponential, or sometimes it grows in little stages and then goes up and then a bit more, And the book I wrote on the Anglo-Saxon runes, which is my own particular interest, was a great idea at first. I thought, oh, well, I'll just do this and I'll go through all the different rune translations, because the Anglo-Saxon rune poem, we don't have an original of it. We have one that was a printed copy from a much earlier one, because the much earlier manuscript got destroyed in a fire in the 18th century, and until then nobody had thought to copy it out, as you do. So they're always a little bit difficult, but the working from the Anglo-Saxon rune poem, it wasn't translated till about the 19th century. And of course, when people were translating things then, everybody who translates come to it with an agenda. We can't avoid that. Everybody has their own particular focus that they want to put on it. They want to try and put forward their viewpoint. And of course, if you're translating in the 19th century, you're going to have a very Christian viewpoint. And it particularly plays hell with one or two of the runes in translating them. And I came to this, writing this book, and all I wanted to do is to write out how to perform divination using the Anglo-Saxon runes. But the Anglo-Saxon runes had a different idea. And in the end, it took me 2 years to write this book, and it's over 400 pages long. In the end, I had to translate the rune poem for myself and translate it again, which I did, and it was a massive undertaking. And then I gave a chapter to each rune, and I went through not only what the rune poem meant, but how different words in the rune poem were used in other contexts. And I began to realise, as I got about halfway through, this isn't about divination. This is a kind of spiritual path that leads you from wealth, which was what people wanted. It's what people, they measured their worth by their financial value. So your first, get it right in a minute. Your first rune is Feo, which is wealth. And it went on until you were ending up in the grave. And it's a very, very powerful poem with a huge sort of, it meanders through the seasons, it meanders through the countryside, the animals, the trees in particular. And I began to realise that divination, and I've done a lot of divination using the runes, but divination isn't all it does. So yes, I'm happy to give a chat, or several chats it will take, to even begin to pare back the Anglo-Saxon runes. but I can only do the Anglo-Saxon runes. I can't do the others. So have a think about it. If anybody is interested, please let me know, and I can make a start and show you what I think it's all about. It is fascinating. It's a huge subject, and it became much bigger as I worked on it, and I began to realise, no, this isn't just about casting the runes. So there is a section on casting the runes in the book, but that's not really what it's all about. It's much bigger than that, and I think the earlier translators missed it because they just translated it from their point of view as Christian academics, mostly, certainly in the 19th century, and they just translated it and that was it. But when you really got into it, you realised how much more there was. And yeah, I'd love to chat about it with you, but leave some comments, let me know if you're interested. Okay, and thank you very much for listening. Goodbye.